Philosophy of Hinduism by Babasaheb Ambedkar. Question 2. How does Hinduism stand in this matter, that is, of education and the spread of knowledge? The conception of formal education in Hinduism is of a very limited character. Formal education was confined only to the study of the Vedas. That was only natural, for the Hindus believed that there was no knowledge outside the Vedas. That being so, formal education was confined to the study of the Vedas. Another consequence was that the Hindu recognized that its only duty was to study in the schools established for the study of the Vedas. These schools benefited only the Brahmins. The state did not hold itself responsible for opening establishments for the study of arts and sciences which concerned the life of the merchant and the artisan. Neglected by the state, they had to shift for themselves. Each class managed to transmit to its members the ways of doing things it was traditionally engaged in doing. The duties of the Vaishya class required that a young Vaishya should know the rudiments of commercial geography, arithmetic, some languages, as well as the practical details of trade. This he learned from his father in the course of the business. The artisans class or the craftsmen who sprang out of the Shudra class also taught the arts and crafts to their children in the same way. Education was domestic, education was practical. It only increased the skill to do a particular thing. It did not lead to new perceptions. It did not widen their horizons, with the result that the actual practical education taught him only an isolated and uniform way of acting, so that in a changing environment the skill turned out to be gross ineptitude. Illiteracy became an inherent part of Hinduism by a process which is interdict but integral to Hinduism. To understand this process, it is necessary to draw attention to rules framed by Manu in regard to the right to teach and the attention to the rules to the study of the Vedas. They are dealt with the following rules. 188. To the Brahmins, he the creator assigned teaching and studying the Veda. 89. The Kshatriya, he the creator commanded to study the Veda. 90. The Vaishya, he the creator commanded to study the Veda. 216. He who shall acquire knowledge of the Veda without the assent of his preceptor incurs the guilt of stealing the scripture and shall sink to the region of torment. 499. He, the twice born, must never read the Veda in the presence of the Shudras. 918. Women have no business with the text of the Veda. 11199. A twice born man who has improperly divulged the Veda, that is, to Shudras and women, commits sin, atones for his offense if he subsists a year on barley. In these texts, there are embodied three distinct propositions. Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya can study the Vedas. Of these, Brahmins alone have the right to teach the Vedas. But in the case of the Shudra, he has not only not to study the Vedas, but should not be allowed to hear it read. The successors of Manu made the disability of the Shudra in the matter of the study of the Veda into an offense involving dire penalties. For instance, Gautama says, 12.4, if the Shudra intentionally listens for committing to memory the Veda, then his ear should be filled with molten lead and lac. If he utters the Veda, then his tongue should be cut off. If he has mastered the Veda, his body should be cut to pieces. To the same effect is Katyayana. The ancient world may be said to have been guilty for failing to take the responsibility for the education of the masses. But never has any society been guilty of closing to the generality of its people the study of the books of its own religion. Never has society been guilty of prohibiting the mass of its people from acquiring knowledge. Never has society made any attempt to declare that any attempt made by the common man to acquire knowledge shall be punishable as a crime. Manu is the only divine lawgiver who has denied the common man the right to knowledge. But I cannot wait to dilate upon this. I am more immediately concerned in showing how the prohibition against the study of the Vedas to the mass of the people came to give rise to illiteracy and ignorance in secular life. The answer is easy. It must be realized that reading and writing have an integral connection with the teaching and study of the Vedas. Reading and writing were arts necessary for those who were free and privileged to study the Vedas. They were not necessary to those who were not free to do so. In this way, reading and writing became incidental to the study of the Vedas. The result was that the theory of Manu regarding the rights and prohibitions in the matter of the teaching and study of the Vedas came to be extended to the arts of reading and writing. Those who had the right to study the Vedas were accorded the right to read and to write. Those who had no right to study the Vedas were deprived of the right to read and write, so that it can be rightly said, according to the law of Manu, reading and writing has become the right of this high class, few, and illiteracy has become the destiny of the low class, many. Only a step in the process of this analysis will show how Manu, by prohibiting literacy, were responsible for the general ignorance in which the masses came to be enveloped. Thus, Hinduism, far from encouraging spread of knowledge, is a gospel of darkness. Taking these facts into consideration, Hinduism is opposed to the conditions in which liberty can thrive. It is therefore a denial of liberty. The end.